You are now listening to the Flurry podcast hosted by Marquise Rawls. Another episode of the Flurry podcast. It's been a couple weeks since I recorded an episode. I had some technical difficulties a couple weeks ago. Then last week I just wasn't really feeling that well, so I decided to skip it. But this week I'm feeling better, feeling good, and I have a lot to talk about within the boxing world within the past couple weeks. So I'm gonna get straight into it. And first thing first is Terence Crawford versus Kell Brook. It was a fantastic fight. Slightly disappointed. And I'm only disappointed because me knowing who Terence Crawford is, number one pound for pound, in my opinion. Fantastic fighter. He can fight at the highest of levels. And Kell Brook, who he's also a elite level type of fighter. He's strong. He's kind of big. He's very technical, and he has good boxing IQ. So I was expecting a 12-round fight. I was expecting a fantastic 12-round fight at the highest level possible, and I didn't get it. That's why I was a little disappointed, but it was still a great fight because I think this fight, it really showed that Terence Crawford, he's not the same fighter that he was at 140, right? The Terence Crawford at 140, he was very technical and tactical. He wanted to land punches without getting punched. This Terence Crawford, he still wants to land punches without getting punched, but he takes so many more risks, and he relies on his power a lot more, and he lays it on people like he did to Kell Brook. And Kell Brook started the fight really well. First 2 rounds, he was controlling it with his jab, and he has a really, really good jab. But then round 3 came. Round 3 came. Everyone who has ever fought Terence Crawford, they know, they have experienced around like round 3 that Terence Crawford had against Kell Brook, when Terence Crawford switches to southpaw and he just nullifies everything that you have been doing up to that point, and he just starts laying it on you. He was laying it on Kell Brook. He was landing more of his jabs. Kell Brook wasn't landing his jabs so much. Then Terence Crawford, he just started landing hooks and bombs and straights from every single angle. Round 4 came. It started out pretty much the same, with Terence Crawford, he was controlling the fight more. But then out of nowhere, Terence Crawford lands a punch, and it wasn't even a big punch. It wasn't like some Deontay Wilder punch where he cocks his arm all the way back and puts his whole body into the punch. It was just a short little straight that just hit Kell Brook right on the nose, or I think it's like the forehead or the eye or something like that. And it just stunned him, wobbled him. His legs were basically gone. And you know Terence Crawford, when he smells blood, he's on you. He's on your ass. So he got on that ass and he got it out. He got Kell Brook out of here. He did his job. Mission accomplished. Let's get out of here. Fantastic fight. And in my opinion, this has proven, I already knew that Terence Crawford is one of the best fighters in the world. I already knew that. In my opinion, he's the second best at 147, with Errol Spence being number 1, because I feel that he's accomplished more at 147 than Crawford has. So I have Spence number 1, Terence Crawford number 2, because of just his power and his ability to eliminate his opponents, right? But I think a lot of the boxing world, they don't view Terence Crawford as highly as I do. They don't view him as this number 1 pound for pound guy who has this elite special type of ability and skill set and talent. A lot of people don't see him like that. But I think this fight changed a lot of their minds. And yes, I will say Kell Brook, he's not the same Kell Brook that he was when he fought Errol Spence, or when he was younger. I believe he was like 34, 35 somewhat coming into this fight. So I understand that. But at the same time, Kell Brook did say that he felt better now than he did when he fought Spence. He said that. So if he's saying he felt better and he feels stronger, he feels quicker, he basically feels the best that he can feel, there's no excuses then. That excuse of, oh, he's not as good as he once was, it goes out the window, because Kell Brook said himself he feels better than he's ever felt. So this is, from his own words, the best version of Kell Brook, and Terence Crawford did that to him. How many rounds did it take Triple G to knock out Kell Brook? What, 5? Kell Brook took Spence to 11 rounds. Or was it 10? 10 or 11 rounds. Terence Crawford said, I could top that. Hold my gloves. Hold my beer. Hold my championship belts. Let me show you something real quick. Boom. Round 4. Kell Brook is out of there. Fantastic performance from Terence Crawford. I can't wait to see the Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence. I really need to see it 2021. I know everyone needs to see it. I'm still betting on Terence Crawford, and I would do more detailed breakdown in a future episode. When something big isn't really going on, I'll do a more detailed episode about me choosing Terence Crawford over Spence to win. But I still just want the fight to happen, so hopefully it does happen. Another great fight that happened a couple weeks ago was Jaime Munguia fought, I'm gonna botch this guy's his first name up, but Soprano, I don't know. His last name is Johnson, so let's just stick to Johnson, right? Johnson. Jaime Munguia faced Johnson, and it was a very surprising fight because I think this was the most different I've seen Jaime fight before. Usually, Jaime, he's the come forward guy. He's the one who wants to be all up in your grill. He's the one who wants to use pressure to make you uncomfortable. But the tables were flipped in this fight. Johnson, he was the one coming forward. He was the one who was trying to make Jaime more uncomfortable. He was the one making Jaime fight off his back foot. And this was a very teachable experience for Jaime, and I think he still outperformed. He really did still outperform. He had sharp counters. His counters looked more sharp than I've ever seen him do it before. He used his jab a little more effectively. I wish he would have used it a little bit more, but he used it very, very effectively, and it worked for him. His defense still needs work. I'd still be saying that his defense, it still needs work. He was still getting hit with a lot of shots that, frankly, someone who I think is really on that next level, like I think Jaime is, shouldn't be getting hit with certain shots that he was getting hit with. Just shots that were, you could see it coming from a mile away. But that's also somewhat of Jaime's style. His style is he's not going to have much defense. He's just going to try to use his size and his power and, the true Mexican warrior style to just break you down. And that's what he did to Johnson. And salute to Johnson, because Johnson, he's a pretty strong guy. And he got some good stamina. For him to be pressuring Jaime for all those rounds consistently, and even when Jaime first knocked him down, he got back up and he was still coming forward, still applying a lot of pressure. It's just the better person won, the stronger person won, the person who chose his shots a little better. And Jaime, he was picking and choosing his shots very carefully in this fight, which I think he should be doing more. Not so much be conservative with his punches, but don't just be throwing punches just to throw punches. Don't throw punches just to be like, if I throw 10, hopefully 5 of them will land. No, create the opportunity to land punches, and that's what I felt like he did. Like I said before, his counters were very, very sharp. So he just took it to another level. And this Jaime, really good. But once again, shout out to Johnson. He put on a good performance. It just wasn't enough for the great Jaime. And what is next for Jaime? Fighting at 160, even though I do think he should go back to 154 because I want to see him versus Charlo at 154, or him versus Jarrett Hurd at 154. Maybe him versus J-Rock would be good. Tony Harrison, another good opponent for Jaime. I want him to go back to 154 because he has a lot of big name fighters that he could fight there. But at 160, he needs to move up in the level of opposition. I wouldn't say I wouldn't give him someone like a Demetrius Andrade or even a Jamar Charlo or Dane Jacobs, some of that caliber just yet. But I feel like he could fight like a David Lemieux. I think he could fight a David Lemieux and he could win that fight. He could really win that fight. I think he could fight like a Sergey Derevyanchenko. Sergey is really good. He's not elite. He's like borderline elite, but he's like one of the best measuring sticks for top talent at 160. And depending on how good Jaime would do against him, that will be a better gauge for us to see where he really is, to see how much further he could go, and see if he has a high ceiling, or if, this is the best he's going to be. Just spitballing some possibilities out there, right? Another fight, and this one I'm gonna be very brief about it because I did not actually see this fight, but I watched the highlights over and over and over again. Is Inoue versus Maloney, and Inoue, who is the monster, who people say he hits as hard as a middleweight, but he's not a middleweight. He destroyed Maloney. I was watching the highlights over and over again, and he's knocking down Maloney with one shot. Literally one counter, boom, and Maloney goes down. And Inoue, who I believe he is possibly top 5 pound for pound great. Hell, he might even be top 3. It's a little iffy when it gets to the top 5 positions of the pound for pound list. But Inoue, He's up there. He's up there. Very strong, very tactical fighter. He has good, good skill sets, and his power is just ridiculous for someone his size and his weight class. And Maloney, he did have a good performance in his last fight in the top rank bubble. I forgot who he fought, but he had a fantastic performance, which got him to fight with Inoue. But it's just different levels. It's levels to the shit. That's what Meek Mill said. It's levels to this shit. It's levels to this shit. And Inoue, he's just on a different level than Maloney is. He's just on a different level. And I don't think anyone in that division is on Inoue's level. Are there some people that Inoue could still fight? Yes, there is. I believe there's one or two more really good fighters in that division that Inoue could fight. But just doing the eyeball test, just watching these fighters fight, it doesn't look like any of them can beat Inoue. It doesn't look like any of them have a really good chance of beating Inoue. Inoue, he's just that good. He really is just that good. That's all I got to say about that. So the last fight that I'm going to talk about is Usyk versus Dereck Chisora, which I kind of want to know what everyone else thinks about this fight. I don't think I saw many people talking about this fight. I don't think I really saw many boxing analysts talk about this fight. I haven't seen Max on Boxing in like a good month, so I don't know if he talked about this fight on his show. But like this fight, it was sort of a boring fight, right? Sort of a boring fight, depending on what type of boxing fan you are. I saw the fight twice. The first time I saw it, it was like really, really boring. I couldn't get through it. So I had to watch it again to like really see things that I missed. And I'm not that big of a fan of Usyk, but I know he's campaigning to get the fight against Joshua. So I want to really see where he was at and his chances against Joshua. So I watched it again. And the second time I watched it, it was a more enjoyable fight. Usyk, class act guy. He's another one who fights at a very high level, and he was just outclassing. He was outclassing Chisora. Chisora really thought that he could use his size and his experience, fighting a heavyweight to just sort of, throw Usyk around a little bit, get rough and dirty with him. But it doesn't really work when the person you're fighting is almost like the same size as you. Not far as weight. Obviously, with weight, Chisora is bigger in weight, but as far as height and like length, they're almost about the same. So it was a good fight though. It was a good fight. I don't think a casual fan would really like it. I wouldn't recommend it to a casual fan, but a diehard boxing fan like myself, I would recommend it because watching the second time, it was really good. And my predictions on Usyk, I don't think he's gonna get the Anthony Joshua fight within the next year. Does he deserve it? He kind of does deserve it, because if Terence Crawford could be the undisputed champion at 140, then move up straight into a championship fight, then I think Usyk, he could do the same thing. I believe he could do the same thing, and the only two champions is Joshua and Tyson Fury. It's the only two champions. And I think he has a better chance against Joshua than he does against Tyson Fury, because Usyk is a technical type of fighter. Joshua is a little bit technical, but he's not as technical as Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury, he's special. He's a special type of fighter. We haven't seen a heavyweight like Tyson Fury probably in a couple decades. He's that good. I don't think Usyk could beat Tyson Fury, but he got better odds against Joshua. I don't think he could beat Joshua. I don't think so. I think Joshua is too good. Is too big. He's too strong for him. And I don't think Usyk has the power to really stop Joshua. But, Joshua, he doesn't have that good of a chin, so who knows. But with that being said, I don't think Usyk will get Joshua within the next year. If I was Joshua, I would not fight him. Not because there's a chance that Usyk could win. It's just that you're Anthony Joshua. You have bigger fish to fry. You still have bigger meals to get. You have to fight Tyson Fury. We still, no matter if Deontay Wilder lost 2 times to Tyson Fury, we still want to see Wilder versus Joshua. We still want to see it. I still want to see it. And Joshua still needs that fight, I think, for his legacy. He still needs that Wilder fight for his legacy. He needs that Tyson Fury fight. So tell Usyk, wait 2 years. Wait 2 years, you'll get it. Now, what can Usyk do in the remaining 2 years while he waits? Okay. So if Usyk is really serious about being one of the top names at heavyweight, like I think he is, I think it seems like he means business when he says he wants to be the best heavyweight. He means business when he says he wants to fight the best and beat the best. So you got to build yourself up now. Okay, bam. Go fight Joseph Parker. If you could beat Joseph Parker, okay, cool. Then fight the winner of Povetkin versus Dillian Whyte. That would be a fantastic fight. Him against Povetkin or him against Dillian Whyte. Very great fight. And then maybe go fight Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz, I still think, is the most technically sound textbook boxer in the heavyweight division. Like, he's from Cuba. All Cuban fighters do is study the textbook of boxing, and that's how they all fight. And that's a technical fighter versus a technical fighter, and that's and that would be someone that Usyk will have a run for his money as far as boxing IQ. So we'll see. I think those 3 fights is good fights to hold him over for a year or two until he gets that Joshua fight. I'd like to see it happen. I'm pretty sure the fans would like to see it happen too. So let's see it happen. That's all for this episode, and I hope you guys enjoyed me talking about these fights. Next episode, I'm going to talk about just some more news in boxing that I've been hearing that I don't like hearing, okay? You were just listening to the Flurry podcast hosted by Marquise Rawls. Come back for the next episode or go back and listen to the previous ones if you haven't done so.